Go, Matt.
Hello out there, Foxes fans, and welcome back to another edition of the U.S. Foxes podcast. This time coming to you actually live on video, as we promised before. We've seemingly figured something out to Chris's technical wizardry, but I, as always, am your host, Matt Folks, joined by my co-hosts, Mr. Chris Warner and Mr. Jim Harris down in Texas. Our usual other co-host, Jason Becker, got held up with a golf miscommunication, so he is not joining us, but I am so stoked to have my homies down here. Christopher, Jim, what's going on? How are you, boys? Chris, first of all, thank you for getting this going, dude.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great, Matt. I think the more we can get the US fans involved, the more we can spread the love of Leicester City and the more we can just preach about this great club. And hopefully, fingers crossed, some of the successes that's going to come over this next 9 months of this hellish season.
Yeah, dude, we're gonna need all hands on deck as far as cheering, because we've already seen today. We'll dive into that. First of all, though, Chris, I'd turn up your mic just a little bit, buddy, so the fine people out there can hear you. Jim, how are you doing on this fine Sunday?
I'm doing okay, thanks. Yeah, after watching 2 games at once with England women winning and taking home the trophy, football's finally come home. So very excited about that. It did mean that I impaired some of my viewing of the Sevilla game, but hopefully I'll be able to give at least some informed commentary about what I saw.
Awesome, dude. Chris, yeah, congratulations, you boys. England women getting it done for you, and you and your fellow countrymen.
Matt, I didn't know what to do when the full-time whistle went. Like I'm used to just the misery of from last year losing the final. It was great. I mean, kudos to the ladies. They were dominant all tournament. I think they did enough in the final to win it. I think the Germans were pretty good as well, but it was very close. But I think that some of the performances that the ladies did in this competition were fantastic, and it's fantastic to see not only an England team winning a final, but just the way that the nation got behind the ladies and was rooting for them all the way. It was fantastic, and hopefully it's a continued catalyst. I mean, we've seen it with the Leicester City women. We've seen it with the growth of that side of the club, and hopefully over the next few years that will just continue, and we'll see more and more of that integration of the ladies side with the men's team, and eventually it will become almost one club, one unison, one moment.
Yeah, really, we've gotten firsthand account of it, getting to see the growth of our, women's side, like you said, and we owe so much of that to our owner, actually taking the women's game seriously and putting the funds that are necessary, and giving Beaver Drive to the women too. That's one of the best women's facilities in the country. So we're on the right path, and man, yeah, it's freaking awesome to see you guys pull that thing home and get it done. And yeah, hopefully a thing, like you said, a sign of things to come for the women's game, both in Europe and in the United States and worldwide. So only good things can happen. On our side, though, with the Foxes, the men's team today, we had a friendly with Sevilla, final friendly of the year before next weekend's matchup with Brentford, and holy cow, man! This is becoming a horrible cyclical thing that's happening when we play Spanish clubs. What the actual hell, man? With Ricardo Pereira goes down with a non-contact injury. At least this year, it wasn't some dirty ass tackle on West. Guys, where are we? What, Jim? Like, honestly, what goes through your head when you see that? Because up to there, we had looked good. We had looked concise.
No more preseason games against Spanish clubs.
Yeah. Amen. Amen to that
another Spanish preseason game. Another injury to one of our key players, our key defenders, and oh boy, yeah. Ricardo starting to look good and getting back into fitness, and not sure how long he's going to be out. I know we also saw Harvey Barnes go down and get injured too. It doesn't sound like he's as bad, so that's good news. But we got a win. We looked pretty impressive. We didn't quite beat them to the same extent that Arsenal did yesterday, which is a bit odd. So I'm not sure if we're Derby or we're Preston in the scenario with Sevilla right now.
Dude, so on that, do we know how they broke up their team? Honestly, I don't know shit about Sevilla, so I don't know who got to see the good side or the bad side. I do know that within 19 minutes, Arsenal had put up 3 or 4 or 5, something ridiculous. So how are the squads broken up, Chris? Any idea? Was it
yeah, I think it was pretty. If you looked at the side that played in Europe last season, it was pretty 50-50 in terms of distribution. But ultimately, as you said, I think the biggest game was that Arsenal put 4 by them in less than 20 minutes, and that kind of completely killed their momentum. Yeah, to Jim's point, I mean, so disappointing to see and so sad to see Ricardo go down like that again. I mean, that guy is just not nothing but bad luck. He comes back from a horrendous injury, starts at the end of last season to put in those performances that when he was before that first injury, and then all of a sudden to go down with a non-contact is devastating. I mean, you listen to Brendan and sort of some of the quotes that are coming out prior to the season. He's talked about this idea of a tactical shift in philosophy, and you think that Ricardo would have been a key component of that, given our weaknesses down that right-hand side. And it's concerning with a week to go that we've lost arguably our best fullback, and we need to kind of, it feels like a little bit of panic to try and compensate for it.
I won't go as far as panic. Obviously, I'm normally the pessimist in this relationship, but we do have Timmy Castagne, who is more than capable of picking up some slack, getting in and really filling that same role. But honestly, guys, like, God dang it, dude! Like, this was supposed to be the year we got to see the full power Ricky back and making those runs a la Newcastle game, and being that double attack defensive beast that we had gotten to see glimpses of, that Real Madrid was sniffing around, that we thought we were going to be selling for. God, remember some of those insane numbers we were hearing about Ricky Pereira. Jim, going forward, like, obviously we've heard sounds like an Achilles. Brendan said it doesn't look good. Take out of that whatever you want, but are you confident that Timmy's going to be able to hold us up here?
Yeah, I actually think we all got surprised that Castagna didn't play right back and Pereira didn't play in more an advanced position. So it's pretty interesting to see actually the formation we put out, and to see those two probably in the opposite positions that most of us would have picked them in when we saw the lineups as well. I think a lot of us also thought, are we playing a back three with Castagna playing along the back line as the right centre back? But clearly I think he actually had a pretty good game from an attacking sense. When Yuri came on, he and those two guys have a pretty good understanding, and you can see kind of some little nice reverse passes and the balls through. But I don't think Pereira did a lot while he was on even. He's actually seemed to be a lot more defensive than Justin on the other side. So yeah, it's a huge shame. He's a great player, but I think we can probably manage without him. If we don't get any other injuries, and I think that's the bigger thing we're all worrying about right now.
At this point, yeah, we just hold our breath and just hopefully make it through the week and get to the Brentford match unscathed. Chris, what were some of your big takeaways from today's match? Anytime we play a team in all red, I start to picture, especially with where Forest are now. So what were your thoughts on today's matchup, man?
Okay, I think I've got 2 main points. The first one, the lineup itself when we first started. Obviously, there was 2 noticeable people on the bench in Caspar and Yuri were both on the bench for the game. And again, I think take that as you will. We all know the situation with both of those players, but it was just interesting to see that typically with the last game of preseason, you'll normally play what you would consider that your 11 going into that first day of the season. And it was just interesting to see both of those names off the sheet. I think secondly, especially in the second half as well, it was interesting to see KDH out there on the right-hand side of the 3, almost coming in as the equivalent of Barnes from that left-hand side. You had a guy that was drifting in, playing a little bit off the wing. It was interesting that Brendan had put him out there a little bit more. I thought that was, I don't know whether that was just because of the players that we had on the pitch, or whether that was actually something that he was interested in seeing moving forward. But I think the biggest thing that I would take away from it is that we're back. I think we're back. That's Brendan's style. I don't think is going to change. The philosophy is not going to change in a preseason. There was still that frustration of occasionally the 6-yard pass to the side versus is there an attacking option that we could move forward at? So I think to all Foxes fans, I expect to see us play Brendan ball a lot of this year, but I think it was just a couple of the highlights being the difference in that starting 11 and then KDH playing, in my opinion, just a little bit wider in that second half could be something to look at going into the Brentford game.
That's everything at this point, right? Is focusing on now the real deal. Everything in preseason, all of it's over. We know, well, I wish I could say we knew what we were going to be wearing on away games, but for some reason that's still a closely guarded secret. We know our third kits, we know our home kits, but we're pretty much prepared for the season, guys, going in. So aside from that, heading into Sunday, Jim, what strikes you going in here is going to be important against a Brentford team that we saw perform above expectations last year?
Yeah, I think we beat them both times, but they were both really tough games. So I think they're going to come with a lot of energy. They're very well organized. They've obviously lost Ericsson, so that's a big blow for them. But they've got, some good signings that they've brought in. We know they're driven by data science, so they're maybe not players that we know inside and out, but I think they'll be players that fit in with their team, their ethos. They've got a really good keeper. I think he'd be actually a guy I'd like to go after if we did lose Kasper.
Right.
And they've signed some guy that we sort of know, Ben Mee, I believe his name is. Kind of well known to us as Leicester fans, and but it'd be interesting to see him play against us, or if he does coming up.
Yeah, he's one of those question marks, and I'm with you on the keeper, man. When you have those guys that play on those smaller sides that face 10,000 shots, you really get an idea of what kind of keeper they are. So, being on what happened today, I think I'm not the only one that could have been caught off guard, right, by Kasper deal. I mean, obviously the rumors have been out there for a while, but to see them both on the bench was almost jarring. Like, to see Iverson coming out, it's just like, what the, I mean, we're talking about 11 damn years, you guys, of not having a different starting goal. I mean, obviously here and there, but 11 years of the same keeper, and now all of a sudden we have this Iverson dude who, I mean, honestly, we have a podcast about this damn team, and I couldn't tell you anything about the guy. If we ran into him on the street, we wouldn't be able to pick him out of the crowd. So I don't know how confident I'm feeling on him, Chris.
Matt, do you think we should look into that decision today? Do you have the feeling that come next Sunday, who's in goal? Do you think it's
I don't see any other purpose. I don't see any other purpose of keeping him out today. Like, as a keeper, you need to face shots, especially from a high division La Liga team, just to see some bounces, to come out on some crosses. That was a very important game for a starting keeper, and I don't know if we could have asked for a bigger talisman than the fact that we did not see, our favorite Dane in net, and we saw a different one. So I think that's there, and I don't know. I'm not reading fully into the tea leaves on Yuri, just because we know how that's a little crazy still up in the air. But I do think that there's no other reason that Kasper would be missing. Do you, Jim? Like, come on.
Well, he played the second half, so that was a sign that maybe he'll stay. And I think if he's around for the Brentford game, he's playing. Yeah. I actually think first of all, Iverson had a really good game. I think he pulled off a really great save.
Yeah, that one hand
great save from, once again, a set piece. Here we go. But I think it's a save that Kasper would have made. But the great thing is he made it, and he didn't let anybody down. I think he actually had a very good performance. His kicking was a bit iffy. Kicked a few into touch directly. But hey,
good thing is we're used to that. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving on. Yes.
Maybe we see that at Welford Road rather than at King Power though. So, but let's talk about the other thing. How good is Wesley Fofana? Oh my goodness, he once again was imperious. I think is going to be the adjective I'll use for him. Like, we cannot let him go for any money. He was everywhere. He looked like he was up for it. And I'm glad we took him off as a precaution. But while he was there, he was absolutely fantastic. I thought Justin was too, and Wolf back. Woo.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think Brendan as well, after the game, coming out so strongly and basically saying he's not for sale. I think sets yes, it's obviously not 100% true because no Leicester player isn't for sale. If the money's there, then we'll have to let them go. But it's just that idea that you're not going to get him unless you're paying Maguire money plus more, or Maguire money with another centre half, or even as Matt's pointing, like even more money. I completely agree, Jim. His composure on the ball is incredible, and his ability to read when that pass that comes inside off the wing, and he's able to step in, always take it. And he's not like a traditional centre half where he's looking just to hump it. His first instinct is always, can I play a pass? Is there space to move into? And it's so exciting to see him. I'm hoping watch him mold this year. Another guy I'm really interested in looking at this year is Harvey Barnes. And I know he came off with, hopefully wasn't too much of an injury, but I think we've talked on this podcast over the past 2 years about Barnes and about his need to continue to grow. I remember 2 years ago, me and Matt were just lamenting about his inability to finish. And since then, he seemed to get more and more goals in his game. He's starting to find the net more. But I think this season, with Vardy coming towards the end of his career, I think it's a really pivotal season for him to establish what he is in the team. Whether he, like the starting lineup today, seemed he was playing off Vardy in more of in that sort of position. So I'm really intrigued what Brendan does with him this year and kind of what performances he's going to put in, because other teams are, again, rumor has it, sniffing around for him. So
yeah, fuck off.
Yeah.
Newcastle can honestly, if what they bid is true, then that's hilarious. But jump back real quick to Little Wes. The thing about him, you guys, is it's so effortless. And we're talking about a U21 that is playing like somebody that's played in the Premier League 10 years. Like the lanes that he sees, the spots that he gets to, it is stupid how effortless this kid is playing soccer right now for us. And to see what he could become is just insane. And I think Brendan was just like all of us. We watched that performance today, and to see where he was last year at this exact time and where he is, even with an injury like he had, where he didn't, and he's already just steps right in and plays like this. It's just, your heart just gets so full. And I think Brendan watched with all of us, and he's just like, holy shit, okay, we have a U21 here. And you can't tell me that France isn't watching that. There's no reason that they would not be watching for this kid to have a shot on their World Cup team, because he plays with a smile. He plays with a grace. He plays with a flow that is just levels above where he should be. And most players are at this point in their career. And I'm here for it. I'm with you on Harvey. This is a year that Harvey has we've talked about how much he has to prove. I want to see him take over games. I want to see him claim that wing and just make people look stupid and start curling those shots in. I want to see what you spoke to, Chris. I don't want to see these shots into the chest of the keeper where he does all the work to set it up and he puts it in the keeper's chest. This is the year Harvey Barnes needs to become the sniper that we have seen him do glimpses of, and just become that game changer for not only our team, but also England as well. And I'm excited for it, Chris.
Good. Yeah, me too. I think I'm slightly I'm optimistic going into I'm always optimistic, but I'm optimistic going into this season. I think there are worse I think there are a ton of teams down there that are going to really struggle. I think I think Europe's a strong possibility this year. We haven't got any worse. Yes, we may have the same squad, but we haven't got any worse. So no, Matt, I'm optimistic. And I think if we got Vardy now, we get him for longer than we did last year. Docker to Jim's point about some of the players that played well today, I thought second half when Docker came on, he had a couple of chances. He looked busy. I think he's going to score goals this season. So I don't have a worry that we're going to score a lot on the top end. Of course, the worry is always going to be defensively. We haven't necessarily got better, judging from the first half anyway. And like you guys said, that save from Iverson set pieces are still going to be an issue this season, it seems. So I think there's a lot to look forward to, but at the same time, there's kind of those little things that you're looking at going into week one, thinking, have we ironed them out on the training ground in this past 4 weeks to stop it becoming a notorious problem like it did last year?
Absolutely. And I mean, look, back to your point on Iverson, like that dude, can you imagine like when he saw his name on the team sheet, like you talk about like type B hole, like he was sending out the text to his parents, I'm getting a start against freaking Sevilla. So he was playing with some weight on his shoulders and he performed. So who knows, man? Who knows, Jimmy? I'm excited. I'm just excited to get freaking going here. You know, the Premier League is, we always talk about how long of a league it is, but damn, do we not miss it when it gets to this point in the year and you're just ready to see your squads get up in the morning, have a little coffee, meet the boys at the club and get it going. And we're right here at that point. So I'm excited for it. You have an overall optimistic view going in, Jim? I mean, obviously our Pereira injury, but I think who knows?
I think we talked about this last week, and I was certainly on the team optimism last week, and I don't think that's changed much, even with the injury. If we seem to be playing a lot more like quick football, a lot more pressing football. I think KDH has been fantastic this preseason. Like Chris, you mentioned him earlier, popping up with his goal and sort of popping up in sort of the right channel. I don't think he was playing there. I think he was just playing everywhere. He's just a machine, that guy. He's like the T1000. He runs so much, you know. He's like a freaking animal of, you know, with a third lung. I don't know how many crappy analogies I can use about like.
Yeah, I'm here for them all. Just keep going.
But yeah, he played a number of really good first time balls through. I think actually, like Vards looked a little bit off. There's a couple where, you know, maybe it went a bit wider and he didn't shoot and he cut back, or he just sort of took an extra touch, and it wasn't quite his night. But I could see that he was getting into positions, and maybe a few games into the season, he'd pull the trigger on those, and you know they'd be goals. And so that fills me with optimism. I think that Maddison again played fantastically well. He ran the midfield like that. You know, he won, like, how many free kicks did he win? How many of them were crap, and how many corners were crap? So his dead ball delivery is still pretty poor. You know, back to that can't beat the first man comments that we heard a lot last year. So he needs to sort that out. But in open play and sort of like his confidence is sky high. I'm excited for him too. Excited for Daka. Yeah, he's like, I think it's telling that he's coming on instead of Kelechi now, and Kelechi's not really got any minutes, especially with 5 subs in this game. And I think he got a bit in the last game. You know, he obviously scored that banger against Derby as well. So that you know, if he's in and around, Amati looked pretty solid. Yuri gave a little clap when he came on. I'm not sure if that means it's like a goodbye clap or it was a hey, I'm here for you clap. It looked a bit like he kind of looked quite happy to be there. So again, maybe that's my blue tinted spectacles that I'm looking through right now.
Well, we're at that point in the show where we are analyzing claps, guys. I honestly, I don't know what you read into that. It's who knows. The pieces are there. Patson Daka, I think, is going to be just a dog this year. If I had to put a number or a star on anyone, I think my big 3 are Maddison, Barnes, and Daka this year. But I'm going to put a little subtitle if Iverson, because I was impressed today, but we'll see. But those 3 are my ones to watch. If Patson, you can become the player that we all have seen, and that left foot is as lethal as what is shown so far in the preseason. And yeah, it could be a very, very fun year going forward.
Yeah.
Chris, yeah, go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
No, yeah. Daka's a 2-footed predator, so that's awesome. And then Dennis the Menace came on as well. He's been looking pretty sharp this preseason.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jim.
Like, you know, let's not forget he nicked the ball to get the goal. You know, so he played in Daka as well, and you know, with a nice little slide rule pass. So, if he's, I think from what I've heard, he maybe wasn't settled. So hopefully that, maybe his personal life and everything, hopefully that's all going well now and he gets to be part of the team. And, if he shows that promise, he's a great person to have available too.
It's a hell of a 4, isn't it? If you take Yuri out, you've got Ndidi, Madison, KDH, and Pratt in that central position. That's a hell of a pick 3 out of those 4, even without Yuri in the side. You throw Yuri in there as well. It's 5 center midfielders going for what? 3 places. It's pretty incredible. But yeah, I thought Pratt was really good when he came on as well. I think he's been pretty good this preseason. Kind of a continuation of he's solid. I think the one thing I like about him is really solid and he doesn't do anything stupid, which quite often sometimes you want on a pitch just to stop just to kind of balance everything out and make sure that we stay on track. So hopefully he'll have a big season as well. But again, it kind of highlights the problem we have as a club at the moment, that you look, and this isn't my point, I'm going to steal it from our friend Graham, who said this on our chat. But if you look at the sub bench today, we had 12 on the bench and we didn't have a single youth player or any kind of typical what you consider fringe. It was just the squad basically on the bench. And it just kind of emphasizes how big it is at this moment in time and how much of a problem that is in trying to bring in new people, because we've got to get rid of people to get people in, unfortunately, because you've got people, I've got Amati, Mendy, Iheanacho, to Jim's point, like these guys that are seeing maybe 10, 15 minutes, but that's it. It's kind of just crazy how big our squad is.
Well, it's weird, because you would have thought that we might have gotten or heard even rumors about clubs coming after those, some of these smaller clubs coming up, your Fulhams, your Brentford's trying to sustain, like you would have thought, but we didn't hear a single rumor, which honestly speaks to the kind of contracts these guys are on, unfortunately, and some definite days of reckoning that are going to be coming in the not so distant future, because Chris, like the squad is huge and so many of these good young guys, are guys that we are ready for and looking into the future are not going to be able to get these chances unless we can bring it up. And with a year with going to 5 subs this year, we're going to be using damn near everybody. Jim, what do you think?
Yeah, we're going to have a deeper squad. We're going to get to use it. So hopefully that means players will be happier with a bit more game time. We didn't see any of the youth team get any chances today. It was all the tried and tested people. And I think that's either, that's probably been the only sort of bittersweet thing about a good preseason, with some of our players coming back and some of the more fringe players getting more minutes and playing well, but not really getting enough time with some of the youth team. And, I think we'd all love to see a few more of the academy products get a chance and maybe play some minutes. But, Iverson's, if anyone's like bided their time, it's that guy. I don't, he's finally going to get, maybe he'll get to start a league game or something. And I think with Danny Ward being injured, he's definitely the number 2. If not, vying for number 1, depending on what will happen as well. So yeah, like I'm still kind of optimistic with what's going to happen and excited for a week today.
Seems insane, but yeah, guys, 1 week from today we'll be breaking down our first game of the year, and frankly, the fact that it's Brentford is not it's kind of unnerving, because that's a team that they're going to be trying to prove themselves on that second year bounce kind of thing that happens. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking. They are the only team in the Premier League that's not getting a new kit this year, which I found interesting. They've decided to do the 2-year bounce thing, and they're saying because of COVID, they're just going to have the same kit as next year, which is interesting.
I see what you did there. Nice segue. Go on, sir. All right.
Well, it's
go
into
on.
Do what I can.
I'll set it up. Yesterday, out of the blue, the 3rd kit was announced to the world via LCFC social media. So we'll turn it to our kit expert, Matt. First thoughts when you see it? 1 to 10. Did you like it?
Interesting. It's it's interesting. I commented. It looks like 3 kits sewn together. The sublimation pattern here in the middle looks odd, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see it in person. The maroon monochrome badge looks pretty dope. So it's gonna be definitely one of those that you have to see in person to make a judgment on it. I will say I am very impressed, and this speaks to our massive level of our club that you can still go on the website and order any size right now. They're all in stock and ready to go. So in the past, it was like they had 25 of each size, and then you could get you might be able to get something by Christmas, but every size is in stock. So guys, we've made it. Now they are still announcing their jerseys in a very weird secretive way. God forbid we give any heads up on when something might be dropped, but they're going to drop them secretly on a Saturday, and they're going to be in stock. So I'm very proud of where we've come, Chris.
What time did you get up this morning to order the kit, Matt? Just to inform the world.
No. It went 9. So they went live at 9 Leicester time. So that's 1 a.m. California time. So yeah, 1 a.m.
That guy's his dedication to the team. Getting up at
hey,
1 in
I
the
do it for the people.
sure
I do it for the people. I have to
kit.
let our US Foxes know whether it is a buy or a wait for the sale at the end of the year kind of thing. I do it for the people, Chris.
I like it. When I first saw it, I kind of like the combination. I think I can see where you're coming from the idea of 3 kits coming into one, but I really enjoy the burgundy, the monochrome badge, and it kind of gives me the color. Just reminds me of the FA Cup final. So whenever you can feel that, I'm very happy. So I think it's the buy. I think that's the shirt for me this season. I think it'll be back to back this time around, going for the away shirt.
You don't want to go for the
third
floppy
shirt.
Collar
shirt
effort then.
No, that collar just. I mean, Matters looks great in it, and I think Cags.
But he was fighting the collar more than he was fighting Sevilla's midfielders during that thing. At one point, I noticed
that quite a bit, that there was sort of inadvertent popped collars that kept getting turned down because they didn't stay up. And I noticed Vards and Maddison were both kind of like tidying up themselves every few minutes during the game. I quite like the new third kit as well. I think at first I saw it and I thought, oh, is it like heavily perforated to cool people down in the boiling hot Leicester weather, which would have been nice for getting for the Texas heat and maybe having a bit of airflow. But it does look like it's sort of I thought it was the Mexico '86 England kit for a second, with big sort of holes in it or an old school string vest that people's dads used to wear in the '70s or granddads. But it's pretty nice, and I think we have seen the glimpse of the second kit. There was obviously the big photo scandal on Twitter this week of it being next to Madder's foot and arrows pointing at it and things like that. So I think we have seen a little hint of it.
Yeah, we've definitely only seen a hint of it. We have not seen any more of it whatsoever.
Definitely no one has seen what it looks like. Definitely no one has
seen it. And it's, it's very important, to the club to keep these as secret as possible.
I know, yeah.
Because
heaven forbid they would
forbid that anyone learn what the new kit looks like before the season starts. For God's sakes, let's keep it safe. I'm stoked on it. We'll see how it looks. It's definitely got like fall vibes. So for our Midwest Foxes, you guys it's definitely like a good fall kit. So I think it's going to be a good one for sure. That being said, guys, I think that's pretty much it for today. I mean, anything else we need to cover, Chris? We've got everything summed up. Brentford obviously is going to be one of those games that we're just let's see what happens. We're Leicester, and anything could happen. I'm just stoked to get the season going, guys.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. I think I know it's a cliche, but a fast start would be very beneficial for us, especially with that. We've not even spoke about it, but the World Cup break is going to obviously throw a spanner into the works this year. So I think if we can get off to a fast start, get a few points here and there, we've got an opportunity to, I think, really, with the break, come back in the second half as well and do some more damage. But yeah, I'm with you, mate. I'm just super excited to get this going in a week's time.
It's honestly, I can't believe it's crazy. Like we're ready to start again. So it's just nuts. Jim, going in, man. Here we go. Let's get it started. You could text.
Oh, I think he got so excited he pulled his cable out. I mean, that.
I know, yeah.
Dedication.
I know, yeah. Someone's super excited for the season to go. And yeah, I'm very excited. I think we need to get a win to start with. We've got a tough opening set of games, actually. So we need to get a win on the board against, ahead of the game against Arsenal, who have had a very good preseason, made some signings. I know we'll talk about that more next week, but think about Brentford and Southampton, the games we should be looking to win, and then what can we take away from Arsenal, Chelsea, and Man U going forward.
This is why I got unplugged, guys. So apologies. This little one decided to hit the power cord on his way out.
Well, that's the benefit for everyone that watches now live on YouTube and Twitter. Yeah. You'll get to see the weekly Wiggins and Knight show that I've seen for the past 4 years. Jim's seen on and off for the past 3 years. Like you're gonna get that show, boys and girls.
Yeah, dealing with 2 terriers during the broadcast is gonna be fun. So they I decided it was time to unplug the power. So that's what that was. We were just it blew me off. What were we talking about at the time, guys? What was the point?
We were just talking about you were excited about the Brentford game. We thought you were so excited that you unplugged everything.
That's exactly what happened. No, it is. I'm just stoked to be talking with you guys. I'm stoked for our loyal fans that tune into this podcast.
Well,
I'm excited that we've gone to this next level of doing this.
It's quite intimidating to have 3 people looking at us on the internet real time. So, I think the other thing that you might get excited for, and I'm not sure how much, it's true, but, Vestergaard has got some interest. Fulham potentially want to buy him.
Please.
And apparently Brentford were interested as well, according to the Mercury. So that would have been interesting if they had pursued him and we saw him playing against us next week. But,
2 thoughts.
He seems like a Fulham signing.
100%. 2 thoughts. Let's send him. And we'll send some training jackets and some extra towels. And then the other thought that I have on top of that is as soon as he puts on a new kit, he will become a 7.5 foot tall monster and start scoring on every header he goes up for. So we're screwed either way. So I'm not even going to pretend like whatever happens.
If it's time for Brentford this week, he'd score against us.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed, dude.
The Leicester City effect.
Yeah, it'll be like, I know these guys can't defend set pieces.
He's been like a double agent the entire time, just causing chaos in the background.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, guys, on that note, I was curious. I remember now, Jim. Are you Texas Foxes doing anything special for the match? On I know it's a early kickoff at 6 a.m. here on the West Coast. So San Diego Foxes, we will be at the Bluefoot. Looking so forward to seeing anybody that wants to come down. Our LA guys, Arizona guys, anybody wants to come down and kick off the season the right way. We will be at the Bluefoot in North Park here in San Diego. So come join us. Texas Foxes, you guys do anything special?
Nothing planned yet. Sorry, terrible.
Not
very good at doing
big ass state, bro. It's a big ass state.
And then, but I'm away all week, so I actually go away tomorrow on a bit of a vacation. So we'll just get back into town ahead of the game. So we'll have to see. And if anyone's around, shoot us a tweet. We'll see where we can go.
For sure, my brother. Safe travels. Thank you and Dana. Have a great time. I know our homies, the New York Foxes. Again, Jason apologizes for not being able to make it tonight, but he had some mix-up on his tea time. Everybody's been there, but they are definitely going to be down at the Legends pub there at the base of the Empire State Building. Go down and hang out with our homies, the New York Foxes. It's a 9 o'clock kickoff on the East Coast, so you can catch a train into the city. Jason, Jordan, and all of the New York Foxes, Ryan, they will all take care of you, as will any of us that you guys get a chance to come out, meet up with Jim in Texas or Chris and I out here in San Diego. We would love to see you. That being said, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch us, listen to us, whatever it means the world that you take the time out of your day to check out and talk a little bit of Foxes, listen to a little bit of Foxes. We all love this club for one reason, And we do this because we want to spread the word of Leicester City and grow it here in the United States. So with that being said, Chris, Jim, any final words? Chris, we'll start with you before we say goodbye to our fine friends.
Bring it on, Matt. 1 week to go. Let's do this.
Ready to go. Jim?
No, I'm so excited. I can't think of anything else to say.
I can tell. It's blowing through the screen. Guys,
Jim's
thank
mind.
you so much for joining us for this week on the US Foxes podcast. We're going to have everything ironed out by next week, I promise. And we will be rolling with hopefully 3 points against Brentford. Can't wait to talk to you then. Until then, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you next time on the US Foxes podcast. Cheers.